They think I'm just the family cook, the one who brings dessert to Thanksgiving and smiles while everyone else talks business. Emma the food blogger, Emma the recipe girl, Emma the one who's so lucky to have such a successful family. That's what they call me, lucky. But here's the thing about luck. It runs out, and so does family loyalty.
3 years ago, my mother called me into her office. The Hartley restaurant chain was expanding. Jacob and Meredith were already running operations. I thought she wanted my help with new menu ideas. Instead, she handed me a check, $50,000. "Buy yourself a little cafe, sweetie," she said. "Something small, something you can handle." I smiled. I took the check and I cashed it, but I never opened that little cafe.
You see, Hartley Smokehouse has one secret, one thing that keeps people coming back. The sauce, that smoky, sweet, spicy sauce that everyone craves. Guess who created it? Me. In my tiny apartment kitchen at 2 a.m., while Jacob was partying and Meredith was shopping, I wrote that recipe. I tested it, I perfected it, and they've been selling it for 10 years.
When Mama cut me out, I didn't fight. I didn't cry. I just smiled and said, "Okay, Mama, whatever you think is best." She looked relieved. Jacob looked smug. Meredith looked bored. They had no idea, because while they were running the business, I was running a different game. I opened an LLC, a small one, in a different state, under a different name. I called it Heart and Soul Foods.
Within a year, Hartley's became famous. Not for the ribs, not for the brisket, for the sauce. People drove from 3 states away to buy bottles. My father expanded. Then he got sick. When he passed, he left the restaurant to all 3 of us, equally. That was his wish. But wishes don't mean much when lawyers get involved. Mama became the CEO. Jacob became the operations guy. Meredith became the marketing face. And me, I became the cook, the one who tests recipes in the back, the one who doesn't go to investor meetings, the one who smiles and nods and says whatever you think is best. For 7 years, that was my life. Invisible, useful, forgettable. Then, one day, Jacob called a family meeting. No investors, no lawyers, just us. He announced they were restructuring for efficiency, he said. They decided I didn't need to be part of the official business anymore. I could just consult, maybe get a small percentage. Maybe. Mama didn't argue. Meredith didn't argue. Why would they? I was just the cook. That's when I found the napkin, the original one, still on my fridge after all those years. I looked at my handwriting, the ingredients, the measurements, and I had an idea, a crazy idea, a dangerous idea. I called a lawyer, not a family lawyer, my own lawyer, and I asked one question: can I patent a recipe I already gave away? Turns out you can, if you have proof you created it. And I had proof. 6 months of recipe notebooks, dates, times, even a photo of that napkin on my fridge from 10 years ago. I filed the patent. It took 8 months, but it got approved. My name, my recipe, legally mine. They didn't know. They never check patents. They were too busy counting money. Then came the check incident.
That day in Mama's office, $50,000 to go away. I could have screamed. I could have showed them the patent right there, but I didn't, because $50,000 gave me an idea. I took that check, I cashed it, and I used it to start a company, a sauce supply company in a different state with a boring name, Midwest Flavors. Here's the beautiful part. Hartley's had always bought their sauce from a supplier. When that supplier went out of business, they needed a new one. Jacob put out bids. Midwest Flavors bid. We were cheap, reliable, boring. Jacob loved us. He signed a 3-year contract without reading the fine print. The fine print that said Midwest Flavors was owned by one Emma Hartley. For 3 years they paid me every month for their own sauce. I deposited every check into an account they didn't know about. I watched them expand, open new locations, get written up in food magazines, and every time I saw Jacob's smug face in an interview, I smiled, because I knew what he didn't know. He was building an empire on land that belonged to me. Last month, I launched Emma's Table, just a small website, a few products, nothing fancy. Jacob saw it and laughed. He sent me a text. "Cute hobby, sis. Stick to cooking." Meredith posted about it on her Instagram, making fun of my packaging. "Bless her heart," she wrote. I liked the comment. I wanted them to think I didn't matter, because the less they feared me, the harder they'd fall. Then the invitation came. Hartley's 40th anniversary. Big celebration. New product launch. Jacob wrote on the card, "Come see what a real business looks like." I RSVP'd yes immediately. I bought a new dress, I got my hair done, and I made 3 phone calls. To my lawyer, to my accountant, and to a reporter from the Food Business News. The night of the party was perfect. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloth, a giant pig-shaped cake. Jacob gave a speech about family, tradition, and hard work. Meredith cried on cue when she thanked Mama. Mama smiled from her wheelchair, waving at investors. Then Jacob announced the new product line, 5 new sauces. "Developed in-house," he said, "our secret family recipes." I almost choked on my champagne laughing. When the applause died down, I raised my hand. Jacob rolled his eyes but called on me. "Yes, Emma? Want to tell everyone about your little website?" People chuckled. I smiled sweetly and said, "Actually, I have a question about the new sauces, specifically about their ingredients, because they're identical to the recipe I patented 10 years ago." The room went silent, so silent I heard someone's champagne glass shaking. I pulled out my phone and showed the screen. The patent filing. My name. My date. My recipe. Then I showed them something else. Sales records from Midwest Flavors. 3 years of payments, signed by Jacob, approved by Jacob, paid to my company. Jacob's face went white. Meredith dropped her glass. Mama gripped her chair so hard her knuckles turned white. Jacob started screaming, "Liar, fraud, bitter little sister." I waited for him to finish, then said quietly, "Check the bank records, Jacob. Check the contracts. You've been paying me for your own secret recipe for 3 years. And now I own the trademark. I own the patent, and I'm prepared to license it back to you, for a reasonable fee, of course." I walked over to Mama's chair and knelt down. She was crying, real tears this time. I said, "You gave me $50,000 and told me to buy something small, something I could handle. So I did. I bought your secret sauce. I bought your supplier. And now I own the one thing that makes this family money. Happy anniversary, Mama." Then I kissed her cheek and walked out.
Today, Hartley's is still open, but they can't sell sauce, any sauce, because I own it. Jacob tried to make a new recipe. It failed. Customers complained. Sales dropped 40%. Meredith came to my apartment last week begging. She brought flowers. She brought tears. She brought a story about family. I showed her the door, but I kept the flowers. They were pretty. Mama calls every Sunday. We talk for a few minutes about the weather, about her garden, about old times. She never mentions the restaurant. She never mentions Jacob or Meredith. Sometimes she says, "I'm proud of you, Emma." And I don't know if she means it, but I say, "I love you, Mama," because I do. But love doesn't mean forgetting.
So what did I learn from all this? Family will surprise you, sometimes with their cruelty, sometimes with their weakness. But the biggest surprise, what you're capable of when you stop trying to please them, when you stop being the nice one, the quiet one, the cook in the back, when you finally walk to the front of the room and take what's yours.
My name is Emma Hartley. I'm a chef, I'm a business owner, and that napkin on my fridge, it's framed now, hanging in my office, right above my desk, a reminder that the best recipes are the ones you keep to yourself. Thanks for listening, and next time someone hands you a check and tells you to go away, think carefully, because that check might just be the first payment they'd ever make to you, whether they know it or not.